Long ago, in a time of turmoil, the Israelites faced oppression under Philistine rule. Their spirits were low, their hope dwindling. They cried out to God for deliverance. In answer to their prayers, an angel appeared to a woman named Manoah and her husband, who longed for a child but had none. The angel delivered a wondrous message. Manoah's wife would conceive and bear a son. This son, the angel proclaimed, would be set apart for God, a Nazirite from birth. The angel's instructions were clear. The boy was never to cut his hair. This would be a sign of his dedication to God, a symbol of the sacred vow he would carry. He would grow to be a mighty warrior, chosen by God to begin the deliverance of Israel from the Philistines. Overjoyed and humbled by this divine promise, Manoah and his wife awaited the birth of their son, filled with anticipation and awe. A new chapter in Israel's history was about to begin. True to the angel's word, a son was born to Manoah and his wife. They named him Samson, a name that meant sunshine or strong sun. From his early years, it was clear that Samson was no ordinary child. The Spirit of the Lord began to stir within him, revealing glimpses of the extraordinary strength that would one day mark his life. Samson grew strong and vibrant, a testament to God's power working through him. As Samson matured, so did his awareness of his divine calling. He carried the weight of his destiny, the knowledge that he was set apart for a special purpose. The Philistines, who held sway over his people, would soon learn the meaning of his name. Yet, alongside his remarkable strength, Samson also possessed a flaw that would cast a long shadow over his life, a weakness for women and a susceptibility to their charms. This vulnerability would become a recurring theme, testing his obedience and ultimately leading to his downfall. As Samson grew into manhood, his physical strength became legendary. It was a gift from God, a supernatural ability that surpassed human limits. He could perform feats that left people astonished and filled his enemies with fear. One day, as Samson journeyed to the Philistine territory of Timnah, he encountered a fierce lion, roaring and pawing the ground. The beast charged at Samson, its teeth bared. Without hesitation, Samson, empowered by the Spirit of the Lord, lunged at the lion. He grabbed the beast with his bare hands and tore it apart, its jaws crushing in his powerful grip. The lion, a symbol of strength and ferocity, lay lifeless at his feet. This incredible display of strength solidified Samson's reputation as a formidable warrior. The Philistines, known for their own might, began to regard him with a mixture of awe and apprehension. They sensed that this Israelite held a power that could threaten their dominion. Section 4. The Lion and the Honeycomb. Samson's triumph over the lion was a public spectacle, a clear sign of God's favor upon him. The lion, a symbol of strength and ferocity, was no match for Samson's divine empowerment. With his bare hands, he tore the beast apart, showcasing not just his physical prowess, but also the divine strength bestowed upon him. His reputation as a mighty warrior spread like wildfire among both Israelites and Philistines. The tale of his victory over the lion became legendary, a story told and retold around campfires and in the halls of kings. People marveled at his strength and the favor he seemed to have from the time later, Samson returned to Timnah to claim his bride-to-be, a Philistine woman he desired to marry. His journey was not just a personal quest, but also a statement of his defiance and confidence. He walked with purpose, his mind set on the union that would bridge two opposing worlds. As he approached the vineyards where he had slain the lion, he noticed a surprising sight. The place where he had once fought for his life now held a different kind of challenge. The vineyards, lush and green, were a stark contrast to the memory of the fierce battle. The carcass of the lion, now nothing more than a skeleton, held a honeycomb within its ribcage. Time had reduced the once fearsome creature to bones, but nature had found a way to repurpose it. The sight was both eerie and fascinating, a reminder of the cycle of life and death. Bees buzzed around it, their sweet treasure hidden within the remains of the ferocious beast. The bees, undeterred by the lion's past ferocity, had made a home in its remains. Their industrious nature turned the carcass into a hive, a place of sweetness and life. Intrigued, Samson reached into the carcass, unfazed by the bees or the decaying flesh, and took out the honeycomb. His boldness was evident as he reached into the lion's remains. Showing no fear of the bees or the decay, he saw the honey as a gift, a reward for his earlier victory. He ate the honey as he continued his journey, enjoying the sweet reward found in such an unlikely place. The taste of the honey was a stark contrast to the harshness of his journey and battles. It was a moment of simple pleasure, a reminder that even in the midst of struggle there are moments of sweetness. The honey, a symbol of God's provision and blessing, was a testament to Samson's faith. It was more than just food. It was a sign that God was with him, providing for him in unexpected ways. The honeycomb nestled in the lion's ribcage was a powerful symbol of transformation and divine providence. Even in the aftermath of battle, God provided for him. The story of the lion and the honeycomb became a metaphor for Samson's life, a life filled with battles and victories, struggles and divine interventions. It was a reminder that no matter how fierce the battle, God's provision is always present, often in the most unexpected places. Section 5. The Riddle and the Revenge. Samson's marriage to the Philistine woman was a tense affair, marked by cultural differences and simmering animosity between the Israelites and their oppressors. The union was not just a personal matter, but a symbol of the strained relations between the two groups. The Philistines, who had long oppressed the Israelites, viewed Samson with suspicion and disdain. Conversely, the Israelites saw this marriage as a betrayal, a mingling with their enemies. During the wedding feast, which lasted for 7 days, Samson, known for his playful and sometimes provocative nature, decided to test his Philistine guests with a riddle. The feast was a grand affair, filled with laughter, music, and an abundance of food and drink. Yet beneath the surface, tensions simmered. He offered them a prize if they could solve it within 7 days, confident that his riddle, inspired by his encounter with the lion and the honeycomb, was beyond their grasp. The riddle was not just a game, it was a challenge, a way for Samson to assert his superiority and intellect over his Philistine guests. Out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet, he challenged. This riddle, rooted in his personal triumph over the lion, was a mystery that only he could understand. The Philistines were baffled, unable to decipher the meaning behind his words. The Philistines, frustrated by their inability to solve the riddle, resorted to trickery. They whispered among themselves, plotting and scheming, determined not to be outwitted by an Israelite. Their pride was at stake, and they could not afford to lose face. They threatened Samson's bride, coercing her to obtain the answer from her husband. The threat was severe. They promised to burn her and her father's house if she did not comply. Terrified and desperate, she had no choice but to betray her husband. Under duress, she begged Samson to reveal the solution, and he, blinded by his affection for her, eventually relented. She wept and pleaded, her tears and distress breaking down his resolve. Samson, who had a soft spot for his bride, could not bear to see her in such agony. Enraged by their deceit, Samson retaliated with a vengeance. His anger was like a storm, fierce and uncontrollable. He felt humiliated and betrayed not just by the Philistines but by his own wife. He attacked the Philistines, killing 30 of their men and leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. His strength was unmatched and his fury was terrifying. The Philistines, who had thought they could outsmart him, now faced the full brunt of his wrath. His anger, fueled by their betrayal, exposed a dangerous impulsivity, a foreshadowing of the challenges he would face in controlling his powerful emotions. This incident was a turning point, revealing the volatile nature of Samson's character. His inability to control his temper would lead to further conflicts and, ultimately, his downfall. The riddle and the revenge were just the beginning of a tumultuous journey, marked by violence, betrayal, and a struggle for power. Section 6. Bound and Betrayed. This chapter delves into one of the most intense and dramatic episodes in the life of Samson, a man whose strength and faith were legendary. Samson's brutal retaliation against the Philistines ignited a cycle of violence and revenge. His actions, though driven by a sense of justice, only served to deepen the animosity between the Israelites and the Philistines. The Philistines, humiliated and enraged by their repeated defeats at the hands of Samson, sought to capture him and extinguish the threat he posed to their dominance. They saw him not just as a man, but as a symbol of defiance and resistance. They marched on Judah, demanding that Samson be handed over to them for punishment. The Philistines' approach was relentless, their determination fueled by a desire for retribution and control. The men of Judah, fearful of the Philistines' wrath, sought to appease their enemies. They were caught in a terrible dilemma, torn between their loyalty to Samson and their fear of the Philistine army. They bound Samson with strong ropes, intending to deliver him into the hands of his enemies. The sight of their hero, bound and seemingly helpless, filled them with a deep sense of sorrow and betrayal. As the Philistines approached, their faces filled with triumph and anticipation of revenge, Samson remained outwardly calm. His composure in the face of such overwhelming odds was a testament to his inner strength and faith. He allowed himself to be bound, seemingly resigned to his fate. But beneath his calm exterior, a storm of emotions and thoughts raged within him. Little did they know that Samson's strength was not merely physical. His true power lay in his unwavering faith and his deep connection to God. It was deeply intertwined with his faith and his obedience to God. In his moments of greatest need, Samson turned to prayer, seeking strength and guidance from the Almighty. At that critical moment, as the Philistines closed in, the Spirit of the Lord surged through Samson with overwhelming power. It was a divine intervention, a testament to the unbreakable bond between Samson and his Creator. With a mighty roar, he snapped the ropes that bound him as if they were mere threads. His display of strength was not just a physical feat, but a powerful declaration of his faith and the divine power that flowed through him. The Philistines, witnessing this miraculous display of strength, were thrown into disarray. Their confidence shattered. They retreated in fear, realizing that they were up against a force far greater than they had anticipated. Samson stood tall, a symbol of faith and strength, his victory a testament to the belief and divine intervention. This episode in his life serves as a powerful reminder of the strength that comes from faith, feats that can be achieved when one is aligned with a higher purpose.